Sometimes you just have to be fearless enough to break the simulation. I think it's good that when I had my first complete blackout at age 5, my mom didn't fully medicate me because when I started off in Chicago as an artist, I'm a visual artist. Like I went to art school.
Right.
And I decided to start doing music, and people said it wouldn't work out. And then I started producing and selling beats, and I started selling beats to Jay-Z, Rockefeller, and that started going well. And I said I wanted to rap, and people said that wasn't gonna work. They had this term, producer rapper. It basically meant you wouldn't rap as good as the real rappers.
Mm-hmm.
And that started working out. Then I said I wanted to design clothes, and then that started working out. In this world that we live in, there's two main motivating forces, and I tweet about it all the time. It's love or fear. And you can't explain love. You know, my cousin is locked up for murder, and I love him. And so he did a bad thing, but I still love him. And just as a musician, African-American, guy out in Hollywood, all these different things, everyone around me tried to pick my candidate for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then told me every time I said I liked Trump that I couldn't say it out loud or my career would be over. I'd get kicked out the Black community because blacks we're supposed to have a monolithic thought. We can only be Democrats and all. So even when I said it right before I went to the hospital and I expressed myself, and when I came out, I had lost my confidence. So I didn't have the confidence to take on the world and the possible backlash. And it took me a year and a half to have the confidence to stand up and put on the hat, no matter what the consequences were. And what it represented to me is not about policies, and because I'm not a politician like that, but it represented overcoming fear and doing what you felt, no matter what anyone said, and saying, you can't bully me. Liberals can't bully me, news can't bully me, the hip hop community, they can't bully me. Because at that point, if I'm afraid to be me, I'm no longer yay. That's what makes yay. Just place a thought out there that everyone's not thinking sometimes. Galileo, they want to chop his head off. I think people focus too much on the past and focus too much on regret. Even like when you deal with schools, like you take like the slave idea. My point is, I've heard of history class. I've never heard of a class that breaks down how you balance a checkbook or how you control your finances, which my father never taught me that. And I've never heard of a future class. So they keep us so focused on history that we start to believe that it actually repeats itself. And we become overly traditional, and we can't advance as a race of beings. We get too caught up in the past and what everyone's saying and what everyone's tweeting. And sometimes you just have to be fearless enough to break the simulation. Simulation, a 2-year-old jumps on a coffee table and someone says, that's a coffee table, don't jump on that. So it went from being something that makes him feel like Superman, he's got his cape on, to something where he has to think about this person's like a family member he doesn't like anyway. He's 2 years old, he doesn't give about a coffee or a table. And he's starting to like calculate all these things. And by the time you're 40 years old, you've got a wall full of coffee tables calculating you into traffic, calculating you into your career choice, calculating you into this townhouse that's not quite as big as the townhouse next, and it just never works. That's the simulation. We are too protective. We always don't want someone to get hurt. Can you imagine me talking to my publicist before I said I'm going on TV again? We're always, pushing out so much hate, and love can cure so much. Just to think, am I moving in love? Is this out of love, not out of pride? Pride is a word that people often say in a positive connotation, but it's actually one of the 7 deadly sins. And it takes too much ownership, but you can replace pride with love. And when I see people just even like go at the president, it's like, why not try love? for one person to stand up against all odds and just hug somebody the way that Alice Johnson hugged her family when she got out of jail. That one by one, we can defuse this nuclear bomb of hate that we're in as a society by thinking of everyone as our family. I think it's important for us to have conversations about, open conversations about mental health, especially with me being Black, because we never had therapists in the Black community. We never approached like taking medication. And I think it's good that when I had my first complete blackout at age 5, my mom didn't fully medicate me because I might have never been yay. And there's times where at least I'm happy that I know, like even like for this interview, I knew I wanted to stay in a calm state because by the time I got to TMZ, I was ramped up. So what was awesome is that the world got to really experience someone in a ramped up state. And that's when you get these comments that just shoot out, like almost like Tourette's. They need to be able to express themselves without fear of judgment. What I love telling people is like, who do you know? And let's go, especially Black men, but I'm 41 years old and I don't know anyone, that up as much as I have, that's still as successful.
I really want to make sure that there is a good future for humanity.
Your net worth on any given day is rising or falling by several $billion. There aren't many people